Hey everybody, this is Simon Black, and I hope you're having as great a day as I am from wherever you are in the world. I'm in the most quintessentially Swiss vista right now. I'm sitting on a park bench on a lake in Zug, Switzerland, with just the most incredible view just on the lake. It's right about sunset. There's swans and just people kind of hanging out, enjoying this perfect weather, and it's just absolutely wonderful. Just had a wonderful dinner, and here with my friend and colleague Johan Gievers, who founded the company Monetas, which what did we decide? The quick version of Monetas was the one of the most advanced digital transaction platforms in the world. And you're going to be hearing probably a lot more about that in the future. Not even from me, but I think if you're not living under a rock in a couple of years' time, you're going to be hearing a lot more about Monetas and what they're doing to really fundamentally change the way that we transact in the financial system on a digital level, which is really where it's going. What I wanted to really talk about, and Johan's here sitting next to me, he's based his company here in Zug, Switzerland. And of course, you're not Swiss. You're originally from South Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, it's interesting to me, and I wanted to talk about sort of what it's like to be here in Switzerland, what it's like to move here in Switzerland. Okay, I might throw that kid in the lake after all. Okay. No, it's okay. It's okay. He's just being a kid. It's one of the only places you can still be free to do that these days. You're living in Switzerland. I mean, one of the obvious reasons. Okay, hold on. We're gonna go discipline somebody. Give me 1 second. I'll give you the background on Johan. So, Johan's originally from South Africa. He grew up in South Africa. Speaks. I'm gonna embarrass him because he's not here. How many guys you know speak Zulu? well, Johan, speak some Zulu for us.
Sanbonani, Ninjani.
That's a clicking one, right?
No, that was not a clicking one.
Okay.
That was just saying, hello everybody, how are you?
Okay.
But I can give us
some clicking words.
Some clicking ones. Let me see. And saying let me see or think, you would say Nkabanga, which means I'm thinking.
Yeah, you should see him click, actually. That's it.
Oh yeah, let me say the word Wednesday is Nkabelo.
I'm never going to try that.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay. How much opportunity do you get to speak any of the clicking words in Zulu in Switzerland?
Zero yet.
Yeah.
Although I was quite surprised. I was in Whistler, Vancouver, some years ago skiing. This was before I moved to Switzerland, and I'm up on the ski hill, and the last thing you ever expect to see there is like a big black dude from Africa, and the guy who was checking our ski passes was a big black guy, and I looked at his name tag, and it said Peter Maritzburg, and I'm like, this is impossible. He's from a town close to where I grew up, and so then I just immediately said to him hello in Zulu, and you should have seen this guy's face. He just couldn't believe it. So then we spoke, and it was lots of fun.
So you grew up speaking German at home,
yeah.
Even though you're from South Africa, but your ancestors said 7 generations in the past were from Germany.
Yes.
So you grew up speaking German, and then
Yeah.
your second language was
Zulu,
and
then
Afrikaans, which is
it's kind of the version of Dutch.
Yeah, it's a Dutch version that people in South Africa speak, and then English, which is your fourth language.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So now you've been living here in Switzerland. You founded Monetas, the digital transactions company we're talking about. This was founded in 2012, right? Okay,
that's right. Yeah.
So now you've been, and how long have you been? Did you form the company in Switzerland back in 2012?
No, I incorporated it in Anguilla in 2012, in April 2012, and then we started it up, and then we were looking for where is the best jurisdiction for what we're going to do. And we needed a jurisdiction that was supportive of what we're trying to do. And of course, fundamentally what we're trying to do is decentralize the financial system.
Right.
It's too concentrated, too centralized, which makes it very vulnerable to failure and abuse.
Right.
We
were talking about this earlier. I mean, the funny things, we spent the whole afternoon together talking about these things. Western governments like to talk a lot about, quote, democracy, which, of course, democracy itself is a bit of a misnomer because they're supposedly organized under a republican system. But be that as it may, we'll use their word and say democracy. But when you think about it, the most important certainly social technology that everybody uses in day-to-day life, which is intended to be a standardized measure of value in the world, which is money, and yet this system of money is completely centralized by unelected bureaucrats, which is the antithesis of living in a free, quote, free democracy.
Yeah.
Because if we were just saying this, if you and I, if they put it to vote, and they said, we're going to devalue the money supply, we're going to conjure trillions of dollars out of thin air and drastically devalue the money supply, we're going to put this to vote, who in the hell in their right mind would actually vote to devalue their own savings? Nobody would do that. And so what do? They the commercial bankers appoint central bankers who get together. They sit in a highly centralized committee, and they decide on their own free will. Like, we can get out of bed tomorrow morning and decide to conjure trillions of dollars out of thin air, or to devalue the currency, whatever it is they want to do, change interest rates, anything they want to do, they have the ability to do. They can bail out banks, they can loan money to bankrupt governments, and everybody else is on the hook for it, and they're not elected.
Yeah.
And there's nobody else has any control over it. And I think what you're trying to do is incredibly unique and highly moralistic, in my opinion, in trying to really change that by giving people another option using the technology that we have available.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you ended up moving to Switzerland because this was a place you felt like, okay, what I'm trying to do is change the world, and this is a place that would really welcome and value.
So what we're trying to do is decentralize the financial system. And when you talk about decentralization, most people in power get scared,
right?
Because they are trying to centralize things. And so they see us as a threat. And the only place in the world where that is not the case is Switzerland, because Switzerland has the most decentralized political system in the world. And so when I speak to government officials and authorities here, they immediately understand what we're trying to do, and they support it because they know that their political system has brought the success that Switzerland is because of the decentralization. It prevents abuse of power, etc. So
that's the interesting thing.
It's the right environment for us.
A lot of people might not realize that about Switzerland. Switzerland, in many ways, represents what you could make an argument, say it represents what the United States was supposed to be, which is a very decentralized system in which the national government has a little bit of power, but here in Switzerland they call them the Cantons and not the states, but the Cantons really have all the power, including their own power of taxation and so forth, which is the way it was supposed to be in the United States, and has gone completely awry from that, and now it's the federal government that has all the power, and the states have almost no power in the U.S. But here it's rather interesting in that the Cantons, would you say that the Cantons kind of compete with each other for...
Absolutely. Yeah. There's very strong competition between the cantons. And I'll just give you one example. The taxes in the canton of Zug, where Monetas is based, are 1/3 of what they are if you base yourself in Zurich, which is right next door. You just drive a few kilometers and you're over there. Or in Geneva, it's even worse. So there's definitely a lot of autonomy between the different cantons, and they do compete, and you can see waves of change. Like the cantons around Zug are now starting to do the same thing. They are dropping their taxes. Yeah.
So how does the tax system really work? Because we always hear about Switzerland as this incredibly inexpensive tax place, very, very, very inexpensive. All the low tax, etc. There's a national level tax. And how much is that?
The federal tax is about 7.8%, and then the cantons can charge their own tax on top of that.
Right, and so that's the thing that's kind of subject to negotiation, right? You can actually go in and actually negotiate with the individual cantons, with the local government, and say, okay, well, we're going to do this. We're going to bring in some new business, or hire some people, or make a mark on the world, and we can do that here. We can do that somewhere else.
Yes, exactly.
And so this is where they start competing with one another.
Yes, and this is what's referred to as tax rulings. And of course, there are other countries that also have tax rulings, but generally, only really big companies can take advantage of that. This is not open to normal people.
Right. If you're Toyota, you can go and say, oh, well, we'll open up a plant in Kentucky, but you have to grant us all these various incentives. But, you're not Toyota, you're a startup.
Exactly.
And so you can't get any kind of incentives from anybody except when you come here.
Right. In Switzerland, everybody is encouraged to get a tax ruling so that you have certainty on what your taxes are going to be. So basically what you do is you prepare like a business model of what your business is about, how the money flows and so on. and then you make a case for why you should be taxed at a certain level, and they look at that, and it's a fair process, and then they make a ruling that this is what your taxes are going to be, and then you have certainty on that, and there's no possibility of some tax guy then later coming and saying, you didn't pay all your taxes, because they officially say this is what it's going to be for you.
So how difficult was that negotiation process with the local authorities here?
It's pretty easy. What you need is some good lawyers.
Was there a lot of back and forth, or
No,
did they make an offer?
It's one meeting.
Okay.
One meeting. You can do it on your own, but it's recommended that you get a good lawyer, because they know the tax system inside out, and they are very good. They make very good arguments why you should get a lower tax rate.
Sure. And even if a good lawyer, a good negotiator can get you, even if it's just a fraction of a percent lower, that adds up after a long time. I mean, it's a no-brainer investment. If you have to pay somebody a couple of thousand francs,
yes,
that can save you hundreds of thousands of francs on the road. I mean, that's
right.
You get 100 times on your money that's a no-brainer investment to make. If you don't mind disclosing, what was the rate that you ended up negotiating here?
So we have actually not negotiated a rate yet in the case of Monetos, because we are not producing revenue yet. But we will be doing that soon, because we're launching in Coral Island in October.
That's a code name. There's not actually a place called Coral Island.
Yeah, that's so Coral Island is the project name we have for a country in Africa, and the entire country is going onto the Monetos system starting in October. We're working together with them, and the launch is in October. So we will be negotiating our taxes, but I know that we've brought other startups here to Zug in Switzerland, and they were already in a position where it was advised for them to get a tax ruling, and I was part of those.
Part of their tax ruling negotiation.
Part of the meetings. I introduced them to the lawyers and so on. And basically the lawyer makes a presentation. The tax authorities, it's 2 or 3 people, and they all know each other by first name. It's very easy to meet with these people. It's not like it's
not some faceless bureaucracy.
Exactly.
They're actually human beings that you're sitting in a room with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You meet them on the street, you say hello, how's it going, and this and that. And you have one meeting, they look at it, they evaluate it, and if it makes sense, they say, yeah, it's granted, stamp on it, end of story.
So give me an idea. We started talking about 7.8% at the federal level, and then on the canton level, it can be what, more or less?
So in Zug, the level, including cantonal taxes, basically including all the taxes, because there's 3 levels. There's a federal level, which is the central government, and then there's the cantonal level, which is like a state in the US, and then there's the it's called the Gemeinde in German, or a commune in English, which is like a county in the US, or the municipality.
Right.
They also have taxes. But if you add all of them together, the total taxes in Zug, it's typically about 12.5%.
Okay. And what's interesting is that so is your company, before I actually mention this point, is your company AG or GmbH? Or?
AG.
Okay. For Switzerland has a fairly vast treaty of comprehensive tax agreements, double tax agreements, and these are actually incredibly useful. Where if you were paying 12.5% in Switzerland, this is really a substantial legal body, a contract in many respects that ensures that you're not going to be doubly taxed somewhere else, that has very clear rules about withholding taxes on dividends, interest, capital gains, royalties, technical services, etc. So Switzerland has these, in particular with the United States and a lot of other places. So this is to be able to operate in an environment like this that's incredibly modern, advanced, civilized, safe, protected, well reputed, and so forth. For 12.5% is and have the protection of a wide body of double tax treaty agreements. This is that's quite a deal.
Yeah,
and obviously that's the reason why so many big companies do that.
Definitely, it was certainly a consideration for us. It was not the only consideration. I would say that. The biggest consideration for us was security in the case of Monetos, because we're in the field of crypto finance, and crypto finance is in a lot better position today than it was a year or 2 ago. But when we came here, we then set up a Swiss company here in 2013. when we came here, there was still a lot of opposition, and there's even opposition to it today. So we needed to be in a country where we had the assurance that we would not be the subject of some arbitrary legal
some witch
political
hunt.
process. Exactly, which unfortunately is the case in many, many other jurisdictions.
Including and especially highly developed Western nations.
Absolutely.
You've kind of you've been working very hard to turn this part of the world, we say Zug in particular, into you call it
Crypto Valley.
Crypto Valley. You've been working to bring companies here that are in the cryptocurrency space. Tell us a little bit about that and what your sort of idea and vision is for that.
Sure. So the whole reason that I started that initiative is that it became clear to us very basically from the beginning that if you want to achieve a number of things, first of all, just regardless of the political process, if you look at successful industries, they tend to come in clusters. For example, Silicon Valley, and there's many other examples right through history. And the reason is you go to one place, like if you're a smart kid and you want to join a certain industry, it's the mental process is easy. Like, where in the world do I find the best people in that industry?
Right.
And so if you're in computers, then you think Silicon Valley, and you just go there, and the funding is there, the smartest other people are there, the best companies are there. So it's really easy. So once you have a cluster, then it becomes very easy and cheaper to attract the best talent and the best business relationships and the best capital. So that was one reason that we wanted to do this in Zug. And the other reason is, well, why don't we go to Silicon Valley? Well, the problem is the US has become quite unfriendly to digital finance and to crypto finance. So we needed an alternative location where we had more legal predictability. And so we looked at all the options and chose to be here in Zug, Switzerland. But nothing existed here at that point. So we thought, well, then we have to create a cluster. Just like Hewlett-Packard was the first company in Silicon Valley, and then other companies joined. So that's what we wanted to do here. But it's not just that you attract the best talent and so on. It's also that if you want to do something like create a good legal framework, then you need clout. And just one company doing it looks very much like a special interest. But if you have a whole industry here, like 10, 20, 30 companies, and you get together, then you are really heard by the authorities, and you can do a lot more. And this has also been successful. I created an entity called the Digital Finance Compliance Association, and the name was chosen very carefully to be like that. And so we've got 8 members, and there's a number of others that are in the process of joining, one of them being one of the largest Swiss banks that's considering joining us. And we have worked very hard this past year with a top team of lawyers to create a legal framework that'll give security, in other words, predictability, and a business-friendly framework to companies operating in crypto finance. And we've developed this framework, and we're negotiating with the regulator. We basically present it to the regulator, and they then look at it, and if they think that this makes sense, they approve it, and it becomes the law in Switzerland. Switzerland has a self-regulation system. So basically it's up to the industry to regulate themselves.
Right.
So we took the initiative to create this framework, and if all goes well, by the end of the year, this framework should be in place.
How many other crypto finance companies are here or in the region?
There's about 5 or 6 that are based right here close to Zug, or that are incorporated in Zug.
Yeah, that's a great start. I mean, it's only been
it's 1 year.
Yeah, in a year.
It's just over
that's
a year.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And then there's several others from other parts of Switzerland that have also joined us in this Digital Finance Compliance Association.
Yeah, and it's at the same time it's Switzerland, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of money here. For people that are looking for investment capital and so forth. There's obviously a lot of money around in Switzerland, and people that make investments and things like that. And of course, that's starting to grow rather rapidly. So it's very exciting. I want to ask you. You've been here now yourself personally for what, a year and a half?
Year and a half.
Okay.
I came here 2 years ago and put all the wheels in motion, set up the company, got the incorporation, all that, and then I got my visa and actually moved here in January last year.
How hard was that to get a visa for you to come and live here? to work and operate a business and so forth? Was that a big bureaucratic hurdle?
Well, you listen carefully because you'll find this hard to believe.
Okay.
It took 1 day for me to be approved.
Wow.
And I would not say that this is going to be the general experience of everybody, but it's because I worked with the authorities. I was proactive. I told them what the vision was, what we're wanting to do here, and that we're going to bring other good companies here, all of which we have done. And they saw the business model, and I said, look, this is an opportunity for Switzerland to reinvent itself as a financial center. And we want to do this right here in Zug. And we explained what we're trying to do, and we'll create jobs here, we'll pay taxes here. And they're like, well, what's not to like about this?
Right.
So I put in the application, and 24 hours later, it was approved. It was sent to Bern, Bern being the capital of Switzerland, and they rubber stamped it. And so 2 weeks, and I had my visa.
That's fantastic. And you've got a team now. How many people you have in the office here in Zug?
Here in Zug, 14.
14
so
people.
We are,
but most they're not Swiss.
No, actually, probably the minority are Swiss.
Right.
There's people from other parts of Europe, Eastern Europe. We've got a couple people from the United States.
Was that difficult to get work visas for them to come here?
No.
Clearly more than a day.
Yeah. But even with them, it takes a couple weeks. Yeah.
And maybe your overall impression. I mean, we're just sitting here watching the sun go down. I mean, this is so idyllic. I've spent a fair amount of time in Switzerland. I've been all over. I've been to Basel and Geneva and Zurich, and here I've been to Zug before, staying in the same hotel. It is really idyllic. It's safe. It's modern. It's advanced. It's clean. It is expensive. That's for sure. I mean, what would you say are kind of the living costs? What would somebody really need to live a decent, comfortable lifestyle here?
That's a hard question because everybody's definition of decent and hard is different. But I would say if you're a guy by yourself, single, you can get an apartment here in a good area, nice apartment for around 1,000 to 1,500 francs, and a franc is roughly $1, so you can just translate that directly as a US dollar.
Yeah.
Now
sometimes more, sometimes less.
Yeah, and that's not going to be a big apartment. That's going to be like a 2-bedroom apartment, and it won't be in the best part of town, as in the most expensive part of town, but it'll be nice.
Yeah.
It'll be basically 5 minutes walk from the best part of town, which is so it's. If you want to be in the best part of town,
it's Zug. It's not like there's there's not any destitute, impoverished part of the town.
Even the worst parts are still good.
Yeah.
And if you take that same apartment into the most expensive, you'd pay probably like 2,500 for it.
2,500 francs.
2,500
for
francs.
the nicest part of town.
Yeah.
What's the thing that you like the most about being here?
You mean Zug specifically or Switzerland?
Well, either one.
It's funny. Years before I came to Switzerland, I had visited a few times, and even today, after I've been living here, when I've been overseas, and I fly back, and the wheels of the plane touch down at Zurich Airport, it's like I relax. I just feel now I'm safe. I grew up in South Africa. Everybody knows what happened there.
Right.
Things are just going downhill. You see a country falling apart, and we've seen that happen.
Right. I mean, you've seen it happen when you were. We were just talking about this, and when you were a kid, it was entirely different in South Africa than it is today. So you've seen that firsthand. Something that a lot of people have a difficult time conceptualizing. That, like, yes, a country can actually go downhill. You've seen it firsthand. You've lived through it. You've experienced it, and you've kind of picked up and moved to another place that is that perfect, idyllic setting where you feel safe and comfortable. You can thrive, you can prosper. You're paying very low taxes, etc. That's where you're at today.
Exactly. So I mean, and most people can probably not relate to South Africa, but if you're in the U.S., I lived in the U.S. 15 years ago, and I lived in California, and things were pretty good. But we all know what's happened in the time since, the police brutality and the breakdown of the rule of law. So even in one of the best countries, you can have things go in the wrong direction. So anyway, that's what I like about Switzerland. It still has that security of property, security of the person, respect for individual rights. You know that there's not going to be arbitrary law or enforcement actions against you. You have a recourse if things go wrong.
What about here specifically in Zug?
Now, Zug specifically, there's a lot of things I like about it, but I grew up on a farm right in the countryside in South Africa, so I've always enjoyed nature, and I grew up in a tight-knit German community there, so I like small communities where you actually know the people that you meet. I do also enjoy big cities. I've lived in Los Angeles, Vancouver, and other big cities, but Zug has a nice compromise. There's about 40,000 people here, and they have all the amenities and facilities you would want. You never need to go anywhere else to get anything. If you want to, you have music, symphony, and all that here as well. But if you want to have really world class, you just hop on the train, 20 minutes, and you're in Lucerne or in Zurich, and you have the big city. So it's on your doorstep, but you have it's small enough that you actually meet people at the market and the grocery store and walking in the street, people that you know. And I really enjoy that sense of personal warmth and community.
What's the thing that you dislike the most about it? Is there anything?
Well, I think...
The horrible views, the heavily polluted air.
Well, it's... I do love the clean nature here, but the one thing that needed some getting used to is how expensive things are. I'm a very frugal person. I grew up on a farm. We grew all our own vegetables and so on. And when you see the prices that are charged in Switzerland, they're very exact same thing that you just drive across the border and it's 40% less. Then to me, why should I pay more, right?
Right.
Just for the same thing. That's one thing. The other thing is that things move more slowly. Now, that's a good thing if it's the political process, but it's bad if it's business. And people are still they do their things slowly and steadily and well. Like the quality is excellent. But, the United States has really pioneered customer service, rapid response. Like if you have a problem, it's answered same day or fixed. I mean, ideally, not every business is like that. And I got spoiled a bit.
Clearly, you've never spoken to my phone company before.
Well, the regulated businesses I don't consider private companies, but the truly private businesses are very responsive. Yeah. So things move a bit more slowly, but otherwise, I'm very happy.
Excellent. Okay. Well, this was really great. Very, very, very cool. Very informative. And just, we're gonna, I guess, sign off and just take in the rest of this view and this nice sunset. So thanks for the great comments and feedback.
Yeah. Thank you very much.